The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's helpline session with your host, Craig Proctor.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Today is your opportunity to get directly to the source and ask me any questions that you have about your business. So your questions, can be about any aspect, anything that's going on. We'll also take some success stories if you'd like to share what's working best for you. Remember, the goal of the program here is to show you how to make more money, to have more time in your life, and ultimately more freedom. Okay, our first question is from David Brown. David Brown says, I want to target sellers on Facebook. What ads would you suggest? Well, the best campaign, as far as I'm concerned, to attract sellers on Facebook is the area home sales report. Andrew's pulled a couple of those up, and yeah, Andrew, if you could just click on that one and make it larger, please. So this one here seems to work the best. We've got a picture of a map with all the little pins on it, and it says, find out what homes in your area are selling for. And this ad's being run by Alex right here in my hometown in Newmarket. So it says, myyorkregionhouseprice.com. You want to drop your area in that, so Alex probably should have it say, planning on selling your York Region home or your Newmarket home or your Aurora home in 2015. But David, that's my advice there. That would be the best ad, in my opinion, to attract sellers. The second best ad would be offering an online home evaluation. So I would try those. Do we have any audio questions at this point, Andrea?
If you have a working mic or on the telephone, go ahead and click the yellow hand icon and you can talk to Craig and ask him your question aloud.
Yeah, and you could type in success stories, something that's working really well for you if you want to share that with the group, or things that aren't working well for you. Maybe we can troubleshoot this. But I know a lot of our members are having great success with Facebook. Facebook seems to be working better for them right now than Google pay-per-click. And also hearing a lot of you having success running the editorial ads in print publications, especially when you want to target sellers. Okay, so targeting sellers using like the Costly Home Seller campaign that you'll see on the screen right now is a great way to generate seller leads. Also, postcards. Let's not forget about direct mail. Okay, in both Canada and United States, for 6 to 8 cents, you can send out a direct mail piece targeted to the highest turnover streets in your marketplace. And you can see all my postcards right on the site. The postcard that I would recommend if you want to target sellers is the one that you can see. So find out what your home is worth online with the laptop on. That's on one side of it. And then the area home sales report on the flip side, that's the one right at the very bottom, in the bottom left-hand corner. So we've got one side offering a free online evaluation, the other side offering an area home sales report. The area home sales report side of the postcard drives to the hotline, the 800 number, and of course the online home evaluation goes to the landing page. That's the postcard that I sent out. I sent 20,000 of those out every other week. So I know a lot of you are having success with the postcards as well. And then advertising your properties, you want to make sure that you do that in the right way, that you're not eliminating buyers. I look at a lot of your ads promoting your listings, and I know what you want. You want lots of buyers to contact you, but I must say the design of the ads is actually doing the opposite. You're actually eliminating people. When you place the price in, or you place eliminating information into your property ad, then if you really step back and look at the ad, you're giving buyers a lot of reasons to not respond, and that's not what good advertising does, right? Like, we're not running these ads to pacify the seller. We're not running these ads to try to get like 1 or 2 buyers. We're not only trying to attract somebody that wants to buy that property. Our classified ad should be designed to get a lot of buyers to call you, especially when we understand that 99% of the people that are going to call you on any property ad are going to eliminate the property anyway. You would agree, right? Once you get them on the phone, they tell you why the property's too big, too small, wrong location, or whatever, and they try to hang up. And you would probably say to them, well, what are you looking for? And you would tell them about homes, that are on MLS. So that's why my classified ads are designed to open up the funnel, to bring as many buyers into that funnel to you, knowing that they're probably not going to buy any one of your listings anyway. So since we know that, we can run marketing that accomplishes the big goal of how do we get as many buyers to contact us as possible so we can sell them something. Okay, we've got a few more questions coming into chat here. Next question is from Patrick Russell. How can we improve the quality of our buyer leads on Facebook? Well, here's the thing. With any of our ads, whether they're online on Facebook or they're offline, we can genetically engineer the ads to call out and to also eliminate buyers that we're not interested in. So one of the ways that we can eliminate buyers, for example, is if you were getting a lot of buyers that were sort of less qualified, or they're looking for something that's too good to be true, you could insert a price range. Okay, so you can insert into your Facebook ads a price range, free list of homes between $500,000 and $700,000, or between $800,000 and $1 million, and that perhaps would eliminate some of the less desirable buyers. Okay, so you can add things to the ad to eliminate the people that you don't want. That's what good marketing really should be doing for you. It should be attracting the buyers and sellers that you most desire and repelling everybody else. Okay, so we're going to do that with the language in the ad. Okay, Tom says, hi Tom. Tom says, I'm a newer agent and I would like to target first-time buyers and apartment dwellers. Where do you suggest I focus my limited resources to attract clients? Okay, well, first of all, Tom, that's really smart that you've come to the conclusion that you should be targeting first-time buyers, and not just for you because you're a newer agent, but for any of our real estate agents with us today that need to make some now money. If you need to make money, like yesterday, then first-time buyers are a very good target market because they are renting right now. Most of them are on a month-to-month rent. And if you take somebody that's renting an apartment, it's not too hard, Tom, to find them a home or houses that they like way better than that dingy apartment that they're currently renting. So you'll find that running my marketing, if you run the first-time buyer campaigns, and I'll show you a few of them here, it's very easy to attract these buyers. Okay, there's lots of them out there. Like within a 5-mile radius of your office, there's dozens, hundreds of them. So they're easy to attract, but they're also very easy to satisfy. As I said a minute ago, you could take a first-time buyer out, someone that's renting an apartment, show them 5 homes, and guess what? They say, I would buy any 5 of these. I'd buy any of them. And since they don't have a house to sell, you can go in with a cash offer. It's not conditional on the sale of another property. And they're on a month-to-month rent, so you can close in 30 days. That means you get paid in 30 days. So there's lots of them out there. They're easy to satisfy. You don't have to show them, hundreds of houses to find one that's better than that apartment they live in. And you can close the transaction quickly and get paid. A lot of agents make the mistake of, getting into the business, or they've been in the business for years and they desperately need to make money, but they target move-up buyers who already own a pretty nice house and who, let's face it, they're very picky. You might have to show them dozens, hundreds of houses before they like a home better than the house they already have. They don't need to move. If they have a really nice house, they're only going to move if they find a home that's even better than the one they live in. And after weeks or months of showing them homes, when they finally find a home that's way better than the house they're in, that motivates them to do this, now the offer is conditional on the sale of their property, may not even be accepted by the seller, and you have to wait months and months to get the property sold and closed. So that's the difference between getting paid right away and getting paid maybe months and months and months down the road. Okay, so very smart, Tom. First-time buyers, that's what you want to do. We've got a couple of ads. Maybe, Andrea, you can show us a few of those ads for first-time buyers. We've got an editorial ad that says, why rent when you can own. We've also got some classified ads that Andrea is showing you right now. So first-time buyers, if you can pop that one up, right? Oops. So we have classified ads and editorial ads to help you target first-time buyers.
Okay, we have renters.
All right, so this one offers a free report on how you can stop renting and own. And of course, you know where to find the free report in the ad generator. And another ad we have is called First Time Buyers. If you can pop that one up, Andrea. It's a classified ad that offers a free list of all the first-time buyer homes in a certain area. So it says, why rent when first-time buyers, why rent when you can own? Free list of pictures of homes available for under, now it says $1,300 a month because that's the average rent in my marketplace. So what I'd like you to do, Tom, is insert the average rent in your area. Now, you can run this ad under homes for sale, but you can also run this ad in the classified section under homes for rent. So you can imagine somebody that's renting and they happen upon this ad and they're thinking, okay, first-time buyers, why rent when you can own? Free list of homes with pictures, homes that you can buy for under $1,500 a month. Well, if the person looking at this ad is renting and they're already paying $2,500 a month or more, then they might be thinking, well, why the hell am I renting when I can buy? And here's the opportunity. We're looking for people that are renting that don't need to be renting. The only reason they're renting is because they perceive that they can't afford to buy a home. Now, don't get me wrong on this. A lot of them can't afford to buy a home. Okay, so we have to quickly eliminate the buyers that we can't help. So I'm not suggesting that everyone that responds to the ad, you're going to be able to help. But some of them, when you talk to them and you get them pre-qualified for financing, you realize that the only reason they were renting is because they didn't think they could afford to buy. You know, in my years of selling real estate, I would meet people that, you know, they were both husband and wife were professionals. You know, they may make $150,000 or $200,000 of combined family income, but they didn't have a very big down payment. They had good credit history. The only reason they were renting and not buyers is they perceived that they needed to have this big, huge down payment, and it's not true. So this is why we want to work with a good lender, a knowledgeable lender that's not only knowledgeable, but they're not lazy. You know, some lenders are lazy, just like some realtors are lazy. So you've got to make sure that you hook up with a very good lender that's knowledgeable, that can help you finance as many buyers as possible. And they're not lazy because it takes a little bit of extra work sometimes to finance some of these fringe buyers that might have some credit challenges. Okay, and then of course we've got the first-time buyer editorial ad as well. You might want to just show that before we move on. So, you know, there's lots of different ways, Tom, for you to do this. And what I'm suggesting to you is exactly what I did. And I didn't need to make now money, believe me, but first-time buyers were a good source of business. A lot of realtors sniff at first-time buyers. You know, they want to work the luxury home market, which is fine, but there's money to be made in almost every target market if you do the right things. So there's the editorial ad. Don't pay another cent in rent to your landlord before you read this special report. Okay, the next question is from John Perry. John says, I often do not reach my leads on the phone right away. There's no answer. I then send the list requested, let's say the distress sale list or whatever. So when I get a hold of them, I assume I simply change the follow-up script to say, I sent you the information you received instead of I'm about to send you. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Any thoughts? Do you have a maximum time you wait to send the list without getting a hold of them? Okay, so John, in my office, my assistant, Cindy, she would pull the leads off and she would send out the special reports or the lists of properties and enter the lead on my daytimer to call. So that I knew in my office, the information was always being sent out very quickly by Cindy. So, it wasn't it was not my policy that I need to speak to the people, the prospects, before I send the information, because as you've indicated, sometimes days, even weeks go by before you're able to reach the prospect, and that's no good. We want to keep our promise. In our advertising, all of our ads promise that we're going to send the prospect, immediate information or, in a timely fashion. So that's the way it should work. The information should be sent out as soon as possible. Now, when I'm looking at on my contact management system, I'm looking at the notes, and if the lead came in on a weekend, and today's Monday, so Cindy would be in the office right now, and she would be pulling off all of my leads over the weekend. So if I was calling you, John, Cindy would have that on my day timer, and she would type into the notes whether she's got around to sending the information out yet or not. So if I was talking to you and I know that Cindy hadn't yet sent you the information, then I slightly alter the introduction in the universal callback script, just like you've indicated. I would say, hi, John, it's Craig Proctor with RE/MAX, and the reason I'm calling is just want to let you know I received a request for whatever, and I'm about to send the information to you. Okay? Or, I would say that the reason I'm calling is I have received or I have sent you the information. Okay? So it's either I'm about to or I just have, but that's exactly what you want to do. Next question here is from Beverly Perez. Beverly says, hi, Craig. How will you convert a sign call or a call from an online lead since they insist on meeting you at the property and don't want to come to the property? I think you mean come to the office. Let me try that again. Hi, Craig. How will you convert a sign call or a call from an online lead since they insist on meeting you at the property and don't want to come to the property? I think you mean come to the office, right? Yes. Beverly says yes, the office. Okay. Well, Beverly, that's not really unique because we know that none of the buyers want to come to our office, right? They all want to meet us at the property. So would we all agree today that when we get an ad call or a sign call, whether it's online or offline, the buyers usually say, I want to meet you at the property. They just want to look at the house. They have no interest in you and I, the real estate agent. They're only interested in the property. And this is the danger of living as a real estate agent that way. When you're all about the listings that you have, if that's all you offer, and you're not through your marketing giving buyers or sellers a proprietary, reason why they should want to meet with you. Okay, if you're just about the property, then you're easily eliminated. For example, if they don't like the property you're advertising, then they don't call you in the first place. And if they call you about one of your properties and on the phone with you, they disqualify that property, it's too big, too small, whatever, they're done with you. And if you meet them at the house and you show them the property and they look at it and it's not right for them, then again, they're done with you. They exclude you when they exclude the property. So they're not doing business with you because of any profound benefit. Okay, so this can be solved with our marketing. So we can't be just another ordinary real estate agent with a bunch of properties. As you've heard me say, properties have very narrow appeal. But if you get one of these sign calls, we assume the buyer's sitting in front of the property. When do they want to look at the property? They want to look at the property right now. So they don't care where you are. They don't care if you're sitting at home and it's your kid's birthday party. They want to see the property now. And if you don't jump right away because they're not doing business with you because of any profound benefit, if you don't jump right now and drive across town and show them the property, they see you as an interchangeable commodity. They just call somebody else, right? So it's very difficult. Your marketing must solve this. But anyway, I'm going to give you some scripts here that you can use when you've got a buyer on the line that only wants to look at the property. So really what they're saying to you is, I've got no interest in you. And I may not be interested in the property. And as soon as I eliminate this property, whether it's over the phone or once we look at it, I'm also going to eliminate you. That's why we need to get them to the office. You want to create rules of engagement. Okay, all professionals have rules of engagement. That's why your family doctor doesn't come to your house. You go to the family doctor. That's why if you want to, you make an appointment for an ophthalmologist, you might wait months and months and months to go see the ophthalmologist, and then you'll wait a couple hours perhaps in their waiting room. The ophthalmologist can set their rules of engagement, okay, but so can we. You know, I say this at seminars. Everybody agrees that an ophthalmologist has rules of engagement. And I say, could you imagine if we tried this in our real estate business? Somebody calls you and they want to list their home with you, and you say, well, it's June 22nd today. You want to list your home with me? Okay, well, we're taking on listing appointments in September. And everybody at the seminar would laugh. And I say, you know, we laugh at that, but that's exactly how the ophthalmologist is able to run their business, right? They have these strong rules of engagement. So Beverly, please write this down. Everyone should write this down. The buyers, okay, we're not going to show them homes anymore until they come to the office. They have to meet with us. No more running around showing them properties until they meet with us for a consultation. Here's one thing we know for sure. We can do a much better job for the buyers if they have a consultation with us first. Is there anyone on the webinar today that would disagree with that? Okay, we all agree that if the buyers would actually sit down and have a consultation with us up front before we run around showing them properties, that you and I would have a much better understanding of exactly what they're looking for, what's important to them, and that's what should happen right from the onset. So it's not like what we're suggesting is not good for the buyer. All of us real estate agents on the webinar today would agree that we could do a much, much, much better job for the buyer if they would simply come in and have a consultation with us. Now, I know they don't want to do that. So we've got to educate them on why it's a good idea, not just for us, but for them. So when a buyer calls on one of my sign calls and they want to look at the property right away, one of the questions I'm going to ask them, I'm going to say, well, now, Beverly, is it just the property on Main Street you're interested in? Or would you also be interested in other properties in the neighborhood that might be a good match? Okay, now, you can usually get them with that. I'll remind them they probably want to look at more than one property before they make a purchase decision, right? So since most of them are going to say, well, yeah, I'd like to look at all the properties. Well, when we get together at my office, not only can I give you information on the property on Main Street, but I can give you information on all the properties in the area. In other words, if we're going to take you out and show you one property, we may as well show you all the other homes in the area that are of interest to you. When would be a good time for us to get together so I can take down exactly what you're looking for, and then we can book the appointments to look at all the properties that would be a perfect match. Now, the other thing that you can do as well is part of your listing presentation should be this. I would say to my sellers, I would say, now, look, I know you've, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know you've interviewed a couple of different agents, but here's how, if you decide to list with me, here's how I would like to go about things. I would like your permission, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that if you list with me, that we mandate that the buyers must meet with me in my office so I can make sure that they have all the information on your property, and we also make sure they're financially qualified, rather than me dragging anybody and everybody through your property. Now, the other agents you interviewed, did they talk to you about this process? Because this is very important that we mandate this. Would you agree that we don't want unqualified buyers coming through your home? We don't want you running around cleaning your house for people that are never going to buy it. So if you list with me, I would like your agreement that that's how it's going to work. Now, once you get that agreement, first of all, that helps differentiate you to the seller in the seller's eyes from the other realtors that don't operate that way. The other realtors did not talk about this. Now that you have that agreement with the seller that all the buyers must meet with you, it's easy when you're on the phone with a buyer that's fighting you about meeting with you to say, well, look at Beverly, the agreement I have with my seller is that I must meet with all of the prospective buyers before we bring them through the property. Those are the seller's wishes. I want to because the seller and I want to make sure that you have all the information on the property and that you're financially qualified. And if they fight you on this, you can simply say, well, look, I work for the seller, and if I was working for you in the sale of your home, I'm sure you'd want me to respect your wishes as well. Okay, so there's some ideas that you can use. I don't know if that helps, Beverly, but some ideas that I would recommend when you're on the phone with a buyer that's fighting you about coming and meeting with you. Now, also remember, the harder they fight you, probably the more that you don't want them. And I'll say one final thought on this. If you wimp out and you run out and you show the property, okay, you know what's going to happen, right? How many of you would agree if we wimp out and we show the property, it's an ad call or sign call, you drop whatever you're doing, you leave your kid's birthday party, you drive across town 20 minutes, you show the property, what percentage of the time are they actually going to purchase the property? See, this is how I lived my life early in my real estate career. It was like Groundhog Day. Every day I would wake up and I'd do the same dumb things. And I would, leave a family gathering, drive across town, show home. I knew in my heart they were never going to buy. Sure enough, we're out in the driveway after the viewing, and they're telling me what's wrong with the property. Now, to make matters worse, do you want to know what I would say? I would apologize to them. Oh, I'm sorry you didn't like the house. Why don't I email you all the homes that match your criteria? And, when you want to see another home, just call me or not. You don't have to call me. You could leave me behind when you see what. I actually encouraged this. I made matters worse by, what have I demonstrated to the buyer at this point? That my time is worth nothing, that they can call me whenever they want, and I'll drop whatever I'm doing and run across town. And after what we show the home, we're sitting up in the driveway, and I'm telling them this is okay. In fact, do it anytime you want. I'll email you all the properties, and you can call me or not call me whenever you want. I'll drop whatever I'm doing, and I'll keep showing you homes that you're probably not going to buy. See, this is, to me, was just kind of dumb. And I would, be driving back to the office, and I'd be gripping the steering wheel, so mad at myself. But then the next day, go do it all over again. So, definition of insanity, right? Just doing the same stuff over and over again, expecting a different result. Okay, Frank Pierce is asking a question. What about co-broke buyers? Well, Frank, we can't control the co-broke buyers. So what Frank's referring to when you're talking to the seller and you say, look at Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'd like an agreement that we mandate that all the buyers must meet with me before we show the property. That's only for my own buyers, Frank. We can't control the the co-broke agents. We just can't control them. So, but I'll point that out to the seller. This is the way I do it now on MLS. We can't control the way other agents operate. So yeah, the agents from other companies will probably be bringing through a lot of unqualified buyers. Can't do much about them. I can't dictate to the other agents how they operate, but I can, mandate, we can come to an agreement how your agent is going to operate. Okay, let's see who's next here.
We have a couple of audio questions when you're ready, Craig.
Okay, let's do that. We'll go to some audio.
Okay, Jeff Kim, your telephone line is now open.
Hey, thanks, Craig, for taking my call.
How you doing today? What's on your mind?
I had a question. So I'm a fairly newer agent, so I've been focusing a lot on first-time buyers and also like the distress foreclosure ads. I've been really focusing on Facebook for that. Wanted to ask, like, at what point should I start focusing on maybe trying to get like more like listings and focusing on doing ads towards sellers, because most of my budget has all been towards the buyer side. So wanted to get your thoughts on when a good point would be to like start transitioning also into listings. And then also I have one like listing that I've sold, so want to know like how I can like leverage that, or also like combine that with like my brokerage. I know you talked about that before on like leveraging like my broker's side of the listing since I don't have that many. If you could talk about that.
So we're going to do a quick little consultation with you. What are your finances like right now, Jeff? Like, if you need to make money yesterday, I've talked this morning about why it's important to target first-time buyers because they're easy to get and we can close them quickly. But if your finances are pretty good, then I think you absolutely should be experimenting with other things. Like so far, what you've told me is you focused on one medium, which is Facebook, and you're targeting buyers.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I discussed with my coach, and that was
okay.
The
So
approach.
if your finances are pretty good, I think we need to branch out. You see, I don't know for you if that's going to be the best approach, but the market knows. So it's smart for us to experiment with a bunch of the different ads that we give you and run them in different places.
Okay.
Because we don't know what's going to work the best for you. But we definitely know as a real estate agent, you want both buyers and sellers. What we like about the listings, of course, is when we have the listings, everyone in MLS is working for us.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's an old saying in real estate, if you have enough listings, the buyers will take care of themselves.
Yep.
And that's what I was just talking about a minute ago. Let's say that you had 20 listings out there and you're getting these ad calls and sign calls. I'm talking about, instead of running out and showing them property, a process to get them to come and meet with you, sign them to a buyer agency agreement. And at that point, you don't really care whether they buy one of your listings. As long as they buy a listing, you're going to be compensated.
Yeah.
So also this morning, I talked about some of the things that you can do to attract sellers. Okay, I talked about the editorial ad. Okay, the costly home seller ad. A lot of these great editorial ads work really well for sellers. And I showed you the postcards that work well to attract sellers with the online home evaluation on one side and the area home sales report on the other. Have you experimented with either one of those?
No, I have not yet. The reason why is because I actually have, knock on wood, a couple of closings that are supposed to close by the beginning of next month. And I'm taking that and putting it towards, and now having some more money to put back into my business to spend on other type of ads. So that was the reasoning behind my question is like prior to that, I was really focusing on just making some transactions to build some capital for myself. So once these close, I will definitely have some money to put back into there. And yeah, definitely I want to focus on the postcards. And I have that real estate statistics. I bought that subscription and want to look at the high turnover rates and then focus a lot of those postcards towards that.
Where are you located, Jeff?
San Diego.
San Diego, okay. What you're going to appreciate about this is it is a system, and like any system, it's logical. Okay, there's logical steps to this. And the fact that we can track everything you do, it's really, if you pay attention to the results, by just trial and error, the marketplace will tell you the best approach for you. Yeah, like I wish it was so easy that I could say, okay, for you in San Diego, Jeff, this is exactly what you should do. This will work the best. It's going to take a bit of experimentation. I can point you in the right direction, but what means more than what you and I think is what the marketplace says.
Yep, absolutely. All right, thank you so much, sir.
All right, thanks for being with us today.
All right, thanks, Greg.
Okay, well, let's see who's next here. Joe says, the Find Out What Homes in Your Neighborhood postcard says that we will mail the information to the prospect. Okay, well, we don't say email because we want their mailing address. Now, sometimes even though we say leave us your address and we'll mail the information, sometimes they'll leave us their email address, but that's not done by mistake. It's not that this is outdated or I have not looked at this before. I know exactly what you're talking about, Joe. So this is on purpose that we say we will mail you the stuff. Because if we were to say we'll email you this stuff, then there's no reason to ask them for their address. And since they're home sellers, they want to know what homes in the neighborhood are selling for. I definitely want to have their address. So that's the reason we do it that way. Okay, any other audio questions at this point, Andrew?
Yes, we have several right now. Kelly Ayers, your mic is open.
Yes, hi. Thanks for taking my question.
So what's on your mind, Kelly?
Yes, sir. Actually, I had a question about the AMS hotlines, and specifically, is it okay to have a rider on my for sale signs with the ID number pointing them? Am I diverting calls to my cell phone, or how did you?
I like both. So you can have many different options. We have to make it easy for prospects to respond the way that we want them to respond. We can't force them to respond in the way we want them to respond. So people that aren't going to wait, they've got my office number. Okay, and by the way, I didn't use the main office number. So at Remax Omega, where I worked, the main office number was 898-1211. Well, the problem with driving all my, especially, at any time, I was carrying 100 plus listings. So the problem with driving the ad calls to the main Remax number is Susie, who's new at the front desk. She's dating, John in my office. And plus Bill in my office gets Susie a nice coffee every morning and is very nice to her. And all of a sudden my calls are going to her boyfriend or the guy that's bringing her coffee and is really nice. So that's not good because, we work hard to get these listings. So you lose, driving traffic to your home, your main office number, you're going to lose sign calls. Don't think for a minute that 100% of them are going to you. Okay, so I meet with my broker about this, and I said, I want to register my own phone number. And she says, well, you can't do that here in our area. The number on the sign has to be owned by the brokerage. So my broker said, she took my great idea. I thought, well, I'll just get my own number, and then all those calls will go to Cindy, and she can, field the calls, and the best ones will go to me and my team. But my broker, she said, no, you can't do that. So, she's thinking about how it can't work. So I come up with this idea. I said to my broker, I said, well, Lou, you're saying that the phone number has to be owned by the brokerage. So why don't I register a different number and we'll put it in your name. Okay, so that's what we did. So the phone number that I registered was 830-9111, and I placed that phone number in the broker's name. The broker owned it, so I complied with our rules here in our marketplace. So people that want information right away, they're not going to wait. They would call, and I would make sure that 100% of the calls go to my office. Now, Cindy was trained very heavily on how to qualify the leads, okay, and how to get their information. So I spent a lot of time with Cindy to make sure that she was saying what you and I would say, Kelly, on the phone if a buyer reaches us.
Correct.
Now, the other options were this, is there was a recorded hotline number they could call into.
Which
now,
is
the idea for the hotline is some people don't want to talk to us, so how can we help them?
Okay. Because here I have my cell phone on my signs. We're allowed to have any number we want, I guess, on the signs.
Okay.
And I'm not getting a big response to the sign riders is, why I was wondering. But the hotline is working terrifically for the postcards, especially because we have an older population here. And they're responding well to the hotline on the postcards, better than
the hotlines will work in any marketplace. Now, you think it works well for you because you're in Florida and it's an older population, but the hotlines actually work pretty well everywhere if you're doing it right. Now, your sign riders that drive people to the hotline, what does the sign rider say?
It says free 24-hour recorded message, and then it just has the hotline, the 800 number and the ID number. So that's basically.
Okay, so what if we change that to say, call for latest price?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like that.
Right? Call for latest price. Now, on your scripts, you're never going to have the price because that's an eliminator. On the hotline
Correct.
script, you can also say, now press 1 to get the latest price. And when they press 1, it goes right to your cell phone.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I have that feature where it takes it right to the property website. It texts them that as soon as they call the hotline.
We can text them the information. We can text them. Like, these are all the different ways they can respond. Okay, so they could call your cell phone. They could be text information, which is great because we capture their cell number. They can call on your hotline, and then once they call on the hotline, you can tell them whatever. We can text you, by doing this. What I like about the hotline is you can tell them about your unique selling propositions right off the main greeting. Because if we think about this, if the buyer chooses to call your cell number, you've been in real estate long enough to know that what we're talking about today is true, that 99% of the buyers that call you off of for sale sign, once you give them the information on the property, 90% of them are going to figure out a way, why that property is not the right property. It's too big, it's too small, whatever, and they try to get rid of you. But you've been doing this long enough to know that that's going to happen, and you understand the art of call conversion.
Yes.
So you're not going to let the buyer just hang up the phone without saying, well, what are you looking for?
Correct.
And the reason you're asking them, what are you looking for, is because you want to tell them about other properties that match their criteria, perhaps properties that you don't even have listed, in hopes of getting together with this buyer and creating a relationship with the buyer. So we know that that's what you and any other skilled agent would do if the phone call comes to you directly on the cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the hotline? Does the hotline replicate you?
No, certainly not.
See, now here's the problem. If you agree with what I just said, if the way your hotline works is this way, that they can just enter the 4-digit ID number and you talk about a property that you already know they're not going to buy, then they're just going to hang up.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're trying to replace you with the hotline, but the problem is the hotline's not actually doing what Kelly would do.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to look at the hotline, and we give you on the coaching website, there's templates of the hotline scripts that I would use, but the template was this. I'm going to talk about my unique selling propositions at the beginning. So if you were to call my hotline, it would say this: thank you for calling, Craig Proctor's real estate information line. If you're thinking of selling your home and you'd like to get a free updated report of recent home sales and current listings, please press 1. If you're buying a home and you'd like to get an updated list of distressed sales, company-owned properties, and other distressed sales, please press 2. And if you're interested in one of my properties, please enter the 4-digit ID number of that property now. And then, so right away, before they even get to the property description, I'm giving them reasons why they might want to respond. That's a universal offer, right? If you're thinking of selling, would you like to receive a list of all the home sales in the area? If you're thinking of buying, would you like the list of all the good deals? There's a good chance that they're going to respond to one of those two things first, which is what we want, because when you take them to the home description, there's a very good chance that they're going to bail. Now, on the hotline script, we can also have it say, if the property at 123 Main Street didn't sound like the perfect home for you, you can get a list of all the homes in that neighborhood, including bank foreclosures and distress sales and other great buys, by pressing 1 now. So it's a tree system. We call it a tree because it branches.
Yes.
So I want you to look at what you're doing. The hardest thing is to respond to your marketing as if you're the buyer. And I want you to look at that and think, okay, is this what Kelly would do? And if the answer is no, then we need to make the hotline work the way Kelly works. Because you're good when you get a sign call. You know what to do. You know how to convert them. Let's make sure that if you're replacing you with a hotline robot, that the robot is doing what you would do. And then your problems will be solved.
Thank you. That's great information. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Kelly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's take a chat, and then we'll take a chat question, and we'll go to some more audio. Okay, Andre says, I'm running the distress sale foreclosure campaign ad on Google pay-per-click. Can you give me ideas on the best resources I can access as an agent for unlisted distressed foreclosure properties? Okay, so I get asked this question quite a bit. Well, Craig, it's all fine and dandy to offer a list of good deals and distress sales, but where do I get properties that aren't on the market? Where do I get this list of distress sales? And I understand you want to feel good that you're not deceiving the public, that you actually can deliver on this promise. So I like what James McDonald says. I've heard him say this to a few people, and it totally makes sense. He'll say to the realtor, well, do you work in an office where there's a bunch of other realtors? Yes. Well, does this ever happen where you're at lunch or whatever, or, you're in the boardroom and you hear other realtors in your office talk about a new listing that they're getting or a home they just listed that's not on MLS? Are some of those properties a good deal? Would that be an example of homes that you could email your buyers that represent good deals that are not on MLS? The answer is yes. How about homes that have recently expired or homes that expired off the market a long time ago that you could call the homeowner and say, are you interested in listing? If you're not interested in listing, because quite often they'll say, if you have a buyer, I'll cooperate. Well, could I send information on your home out to buyers? Send them to, some kind of an exclusive listing. Maybe you've got properties yourself that you've listed that are not on MLS yet. So for example, in Toronto, they give us 48 hours to broker load a new listing. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take a new listing that I get today and place it on MLS. I'm going to wait the full 48 hours so I can send that information out to my own list of buyers. I'd rather double-end it. I don't need to cooperate with another agent if I've got my own buyer. Okay, how about new construction? I mean, there's many, many different ways that you can form this new list. And as long as you have a couple of properties that you can send them that are not on MLS, you've kept your promise. Let's go on to our next question here. Carol's asking, do you have any suggestions for second home buyers who come up to look at a property from hours away? And I work for a brokerage that doesn't have a branch in my town. Okay, so look, if they're out-of-town buyers, Carol, I think you would agree, eventually, if they're going to buy a home in your marketplace, they have to come to your marketplace, right? So now the question is on timing. If you're selling in a resort area, I assume, so if they're coming to your area in the next couple of weeks, you just book the appointment at your office if it's any time within the next few weeks. If they say they're not going to be in your market for several months, then you could do the buyer presentation right over the telephone, right? You could do a webinar like we're doing today, show the VIP buyer presentation PowerPoints, and then you could just email them the buyer agreement, have them sign off on it, and send it back to you. That way, you'll know you'll be compensated for the time you spend with these buyers over the next several months before they come to your marketplace. And you also know what happens if you don't do this. You're sending them information for months and months and months and months, but they're also getting information from other realtors. So when they finally, months and months down the road, come to your marketplace, they say to you, well, Carol, we're looking at a few homes with you, but we're looking at some homes this afternoon with another one of the agents in your town. And you just wasted all that time communicating with them and sending them listings. Remember, as you've heard me say before, you will not lose any more buyers doing it my way. You'll just lose them faster, which is, okay, right? As long as you have lots of buyers. Dave Boyer is asking this. If an agent from another company wants to show one of your listings, do you still meet with them at your office? Well, no. As I said earlier, you can't control the way other agents operate. We can, oh yeah, he says you just answered that. So sorry, Dave. I'm trying to talk and read at the same time. So Dave knows I've answered that question. Okay, Ernest is asking, how does the branded hotline USP tree work? How does it help with listings we have? Okay, so Ernest, I just kind of explained that. We are going to talk about our USPs on the main greeting. okay? And then we're going to describe the home, and then we can branch them to any other offer we want to make them if that property doesn't match their criteria. And, the trouble is it never does, right? I shouldn't talk in absolutes, but at least 90% of the time when the buyer gets the information about the property, they bail on us. So you want to make an offer before they bail, both on the main greeting, but also within the description of that property. Victor's asking, where can I find your newsletters on the coaching website? I'd like to do them myself. Okay, here's the problem, Victor. I didn't design the artwork for the newsletters, only the content. So to get my newsletter, really you got to go to my printer to get it because they designed the template. So that wouldn't be fair to have them design it. And then I say you can steal the design work and go somewhere else. So I think you can just pay them and they'll send you the design work. I don't know, maybe $50 or something like that. I'm not sure, but I would contact BXL. Plus, Victor, type in, are you from Canada or the US? Type in your location. Because if you're from the US, with the exchange rate right now, it's about 25 cents. So 75 cents US gets you $1. Okay, you're in California. It may be less expensive, Victor, for you to get my printer in Canada to print these for you than getting them printed in the US, but at least get a quote. And then if you want to get the template from them, you'll have to pay them something for the template. Not my rules, their rules. Then you can get them printed wherever you want. All right, we are running out of time here, but let's see if we have a couple more audio questions.
We do. We have Beverly Perez. Your line is now open.
Hi, Greg. Question about following up with leads from the chat on my website. Usually there's like an automatic. I do have success websites, for the pay-per-click leads, but for current customers or referrals, I'll get some people trying to chat on the website. So what do you recommend to follow up with those leads?
Well, you can turn that on or turn that off. Is there someone there to chat with them if you're not available?
No.
That's a problem, right?
Yeah. But it's automatic too. Like it says, can I help you? And then I can get them on my phone, even if I'm not on my desktop.
Yeah, but if you're eating dinner with your family, do you want to have that kind of pressure that you've got to be chatting with people?
No, but what would you say like a quick chatting conversion will be for, saying when you get somebody, I like to look at this property. Say, is it the same script basically that we use when we're there them on the phone? Give me your phone number so I can make arrangements. You need to speak to people. See, here's what the technology doesn't do for us. The technology will not sell a house. Okay, so a lot of real estate agents come to me and they say, this is great. We've got your website, we've got your hotline, and people are going to request information. And they believe that they send the information out that the buyers and sellers are just going to call us when they're ready to buy or sell a house. If you don't have their phone number, you can't reach them. If you can't reach them, you can't use the universal callback script. If you can't use the universal callback script, you can't determine their motivation and timing, and you can't communicate a reason why they should want to meet with you. Yep.
So all you can simply try to do in the chat is to get their phone number so you can call them and use the script.
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay. So, in the chat thing, we tried this in our office here a year or so ago. When people go to craigproctor.com, we can chat with them, and the problem is I only got 2 sales guys, so if they were both on the phone, nobody could chat with this person. So you got to make sure that you've got this set up so people, if it's not you're eating dinner, you're out or whatever, that someone's going to be able to chat with them. That's
okay.
There's nothing worse than they're chatting with nobody.
Yep, sounds good. Just the goal is to get their phone number anyways and talk to them.
Absolutely, you need their phone number. So the only reason we're doing the chat is it might be a lower threshold so they communicate with you, but bottom line, you got to get their phone number so you can call them.
Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take a couple more. Victor is asking, hi, Craig. The Talking House feature in selling a home, would you do that along with the texting 1-800 number? Okay, so I would give the options of calling your seller, your office, make sure it's a direct phone number to you, or text messaging or hotline. Okay, then you're giving prospects 3 different ways to respond. Remember, if we remove any of those ways and we force prospects to do the other methods, would most of them do it? Yeah, most of them would. But if we lost, just a couple buyers, I don't know what your average commission check is, Victor, but if you lost $10,000 this year because you didn't offer one of the options, then, that's a lot of money. That would pay for your hotline, for example, for a long, long time. Some of you are asking about the Talking House signs. Okay, Ernest is asking, where do you get it? Honestly, I don't even know if that thing's available. See, the reason the Talking House signs worked really well way back when is because, back then, not everybody had a cell phone. Today, everybody's got a cell phone. So that was sort of the kiss of death for Talking House signs. The way the Talking House sign works is you pull up to the home and it says, you can get information on this property on AM 1610. Well, not everybody had a cell phone with them, so that was kind of cool. You could turn your AM radio to 1610 and get some information on the home. But now that everyone has a cell phone, I think the hotline's, a better route. You can try the Talking House signs, but I think cell phones have kind of made that obsolete. Okay, announcements. So we get a full week of coaching calls. All you have to do is go to the coaching site. When you log in, it'll tell you about all of the calls we have planned this week. Okay, on Thursday, of course, we've got the role play call again, where James and I will be role playing with you and helping you become better at what to do once you get the leads. So I want to thank everybody for being part of the program, and thanks for a great webinar here today. And we'll talk to everybody soon. That concludes today's Helpline webinar. Take care.